So number 8 on the list, and we kind of touched on it a little briefly in number 6, which would be open house event the first weekend.
Fun. The open house.
Yes, the open house events. I guess what I always find interesting about open house events is that when I'm working with buyers, they can recite every episode of Flip and Flop and Joanna Gaines and all of these HGTV stars that seem to renovate a home, put it on the market as an open house that first weekend, and get 5 offers and pick through which offer they want. I have not found open houses to be a successful way of necessarily selling that home. Open house events are a great way to expose a property and push potential buyers who have an interest in that home already to make it a faster decision, particularly doing an open house event the first weekend. I would say in 20 years of selling homes, if I have sold that particular home to a buyer that wandered in off the street who may have seen one of the marketing pieces that we've done, it couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 buyers in 20 years.
Yeah. And let's, we're putting the video out. We're giving sellers advice on how to sell a home. So let's talk about this open house, right? Because a lot of times I'll have a seller, let's call it, we've missed the mark maybe, or the house is unique, and we're 4 weeks in, and they go, "Gosh, do another open house. That's going to sell the house." And I'm glad that you're saying that, because to me, an open house is the way to launch a property, to create excitement, to create competition, to show other buyers that other people are looking at this home, so that if we did everything right leading up to the launch, we put that house under contract very quickly after the open house. I don't think that there's one real estate agent that can honestly say, you know what, I love sitting in somebody else's house for 2 to 3 hours. After that initial weekend, or maybe the second weekend, the open houses, you may have 2 people come through. You may have 20 people come through, but it's not the secret sauce for selling a home. It's just one extra piece of launching a property the right way. Mm-hmm. So, Mitch Posen. Mitch was, prior to us working with him, he had never hired a real estate agent. And now it's funny to hear Mitch talk to other friends about how to launch a property. And he goes through those 6 items, and he goes, and then for the open house, so you list on a Thursday, you've got all the signs up on a Friday, and Sunday's the open house, and everybody comes through, and that creates all this emotion, and people see a lot of people at the house, and then that Monday or Tuesday, you're going to get an offer. You got to call Brad over at the Price Group. And it's just funny to hear him say that, when just a few years ago, he would have never hired a real estate agent. So with the open houses, I do enjoy them. That first couple of weekends when you're meeting people, a lot of neighbors will come through because they're interested to see what the home looks like. But typically that buyer probably came through, but it doesn't mean that day they're buying the house. Probably means that week they're going to contact their agent. They may come back for a second viewing, and then you're probably going to enter into some sort of contract. What do you think? Give me the David Price. What do you think of open houses after the first weekend?
The only time that I would really recommend an open house after that first weekend is if we've had a price adjustment. So if this, from the start, that $500,000 house, the seller insisted, hey, we need to list this at $575 because my house has 3 extra palm trees in the backyard and it's painted in the most modern colors, and I think it's worth that. And if we can't convince them that they're making an error, and we just go ahead and with the understanding that, hey, in 21 days from now, if we're not getting the activity and we're not getting offers, then we're going to drop the price to this number here. At that point, I consider that more of a relaunch at the correct price point. I would then basically be doing the whole process off again. I would do a whole new Facebook campaign, a whole new YouTube video campaign. I would do marketing to the past client database again. And I would be reaching out to every agent whose client had received an email blast from the MLS that said, hey, this house just has had a price reduction. And maybe they came and looked at it for the first couple of weeks and didn't make an offer on it. I'd be reaching out back to those agents and saying, hey, look, we're having another open house this weekend. We just dropped the price $25 or $30 or $40,000, whatever that number may be. That's the only time really I want to do another open house event. This is new construction. New construction, that's a different animal. But on residential real estate, that's about the only time I really want to do another open house event. It's just they're not very productive. You're asking the seller to leave their home for potentially 4 hours or more. It's not the 1 till 4 on a Sunday that I'm showing up. I've got to be out there at least an hour before. Sometimes in the summer, I'm going to set signs up. I set some signs up on a Friday night so the city doesn't come and take them, and I don't irritate the neighbors by having signs out Friday, Saturday, and all of Sunday. But I'll probably get up early Sunday morning, put out signs on a Sunday morning, particularly when it's 90 degrees and 95% humidity. And then I'll go home and get showered and changed, stop at Publix, pick up cookies, grab a case of water. I'm going to get back to the house. I'm going to make sure the AC's cranked right down to 74 degrees. So I want people to be comfortable when they get there. I want all the lights on. I've been out showing property on a weekend, and we'll see a sign for an open house. It starts at 1 o'clock. We'll get there at 1:15, and the agent's not there. They start putting signs out, and then they eventually show up 20 minutes later, sweaty. The house isn't ready. The lights aren't on. You're the first one through the door, and it's like, this is just not a professional way of doing an open house event. And then after the open house finishes, you think it's going to finish at 4. There's always somebody that shows up at 4 o'clock.
Right.
You're there till 4:30, which is great if they are a buyer. But my honest opinion of open houses, they work great for the first weekend. They work okay as a big price reduction. Other than that, open houses are a great way as a real estate agent starting out to meet potential buyers and meet neighbors in the area. It is not a good source for selling that particular property.
Do you think there was a time in your business, so you've been around for 20 years, prior to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the internet, the online marketing? I got to think that an open house was probably, you run it out of the newspaper, print, right? And then you do an open house, and you probably had a different experience prior to online marketing. Would that be correct or no?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. So back when I started selling real estate at the end of 1990, early 2000, the internet wasn't all that popular, and you weren't getting, in MLS, I think at that point you may have had 5 to 10 photographs, and now we have 50 photographs and virtual tours, and people are shooting video today of homes. Back at that point, yes, open house events, you couldn't go through any neighborhood on a Sunday without finding 5 or 10 homes that were being open housed on a weekend, and that was how buyers found listings. Today, they go online in their pajamas on an evening, or even at work on their cell phones, and they're pulling out the Realtor.com app, they're pulling out Price Group Realtors website, and they're looking through with their filters, and they're saving the listings that they want to see based on the proximity to their work and the drivability. And I'm seeing now what's important to buyers, and it's starting to grow, is the sun factor on your home, so that you can put in solar panels, as well as how close is the grocery store, what are the school zones, what are the ratings of the schools. So the home, physically getting in the home now, is way down on a buyer's list, where it used to be they want to look at the house first and then figure out everything else. No, they figure out everything now before they even come to see the home.